thought question number 3. And these, again, these are deceptively challenging. So, in school, let's dig a little deep. In school, how do we decide what to do first? And this is just an idea bank, because I thought sometimes my mind goes blank when somebody asks a big question like this. So, think about yourself. Do you do something because it was when assigned, when it's due, how much time it takes, how difficult it is, the value of the assignment? Like, you don't think about these things. So we're doing some metacognition here. We're thinking about our decision making, because when we make that conscious, right, sometimes we can improve the efficiency of our choices. Okay? So let's think for a minute or two. We'll come around and brainstorm with you guys, and then we'll share, right?
So it's just like, how do you decide on what homework to do, or how to prioritize your day at school?
And how do you decide?
Well, when it's due mostly, and how hard it is, and if they're like due on the same day, then if I have a study hall that day, then I'll do the homework that's before the study hall, like before the study hall, because I want it done.
Let's do some discussion. So, school priorities, and again, I just want to reiterate, say again, that this is not to judge, but hopefully this will help us think, because I've noticed too, when I prioritize my time, like, all right, I'm trying to constantly think about it, like, how can I find different ways to use my time? Because time is a limited resource, right? We only get so much time in the day, and we have responsibilities, so how can we do better with it so we can get all the good things done that we have to do, and also have more time for ourselves, for the fun stuff, right? And there have been many times I've struggled with that, right? Becoming a parent, trying to do grad school at the same time as teaching, trying to find time for the hobbies, right? You've got your responsibilities with the family, so it's not easy. So who wants to share how they deal with their school priorities? Thank you, Lydia.
First, you have to do assignments first, so you want to make the plans and work on anything else that you're currently working on in your class, so you can improve stuff on grades. Because, like, what I do is because, like, I know some things, like, for example, on Monday, because due Friday, I'm going to work on the assignments on Friday, rather than working on something that isn't due at all.
Okay, so you focus on the due dates. Nice. And that's important because there's another step that we would need to do to make that work, right? What other step would you need to do or do you do maybe, so that you can do that successfully? How do you know the due dates? Yeah. Well, yeah, they tell you, but like, I don't remember everything that my teacher says sometimes, right?
Well, you annotate, like, in the
Ah, so you write them down. And like I said, guys, I'm trying to be really honest with you guys. These are things that I've struggled with. There were times where I was stubborn and I just said, yeah, I'll remember it. And then I didn't. And then I was like, oh God, it was due today. And then it made trouble for me. Like, just trying to be honest with you guys. Who else has ever been in that situation? You're like, yeah, I'll remember it. And then you didn't. Yeah. So it's just finding what works for you. Maybe it's a piece of paper. Maybe it's putting it on your Google Calendar and have an alert, right? Okay, awesome. Alex, you raised your hand?
Yeah. I said in school I go off like my schedule, like what hours comes before this hour, I guess. And then since I'm like last semester, I was like really behind on my work. So what I really did was just like focus on the work that like mattered the most and for my grade. So like what I needed to do in order to like pass and to like get my grade up.
Okay, so you focused on that high value work, right? Good points. Both good points. This is something, as a teacher, I try, maybe you can help me out here, Mr. Hirsch. I try to be delicate with how we say this, because all your work is important, right? You've got to do that formative work to understand the summative work. But also being super honest, like, I think Mr. Hirsch both experienced with this. I've had people who, are failing a class and we're trying to help them pass, and then they're doing a formative assignment from 6 months ago. This is not to make fun of a student, but maybe it's just they didn't think about it. Right? It's like, okay, well, do the summative that you missed, right? They got to think about the priorities. I know there are students who just go to Infinite Campus and just like start working down from the first thing. But they don't go back and say, can I still turn this in? How much is this worth? Right? Because sometimes you have to triage, right? Like, what's the biggest value for my dollar? Right? Good point. Let's get one more person on. Foxman!
Yeah, I just go by like first hour, second hour, and just like so on.
Can you explain what you mean by that?
So like, I do the stuff that I have to do. Like, so say I have an assignment in like first hour, and then I have one in 8th. I'm gonna do the one in first.
Okay, so like daily time.
Yeah.
Maybe because you're like, okay, and just tell me if I'm right here. Like, if I don't get the 8th hour stuff done tonight, I might have time during the day. Is that kind of where you're going with it, or?
No.
No? Help me understand.
Understand what?
Well, like, so you're saying, like, are you talking about homework time at night? Or are you talking about, like, and again, this is not a criticism, I'm just trying to understand. Like, you go through first hour stuff first, then second hour stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so going through your notes, because we're all different, there's no right answer. What is one thing for you? Maybe it's a checklist. Maybe it's thinking about the value of the assignments. Maybe it's recognizing when you need help. Okay? So, again, Mr. Hirsch and I have tried to be very open about the fact that we're still learning this stuff.
I would say one thing that's more helpful to make my life more efficient is making a to-do list and having a set structure schedule for myself, so I don't forget anything, and like it's a repetitive thing every day, so it's just easier to remember.
Just a quick shout out for a tool. Some of you have mentioned to-do lists. I really like Google Keep. I remember going to the Google conference, and we learned about it, and I was like, this is just a checklist. This is kind of silly. And then I started using it, and it's super helpful for me. So, because you get like that little satisfying when it, like, and it keeps it on the list for you, like the crossed out. Anyway, I think it's available on our app store. Okay, so Leo, you had a really good idea. Would you share yours with us, Leo, and then we'll go to the spinning wheel of happiness?
Yeah. Always know what's important and efficient. And know when you need help in order to be successful, as in like long term versus short term. For an example, like playing video games versus doing schoolwork, because you could always play video games and never do it.
Okay, so think about the long term. Good point, and that's not easy to do sometimes, right? And I like that you added in the asking for help, because that 10 minutes you ask for help early on might save you hours later on, right? If you think about the long term.
Gabby, can you unmute and tell us one thing you learned from this today that you can use in your life?
I said to write a to-do list and ask for help, and put like an alarm for things that I do.
Good. Nice.
Thank you.
I like the specificity there. Thank you, Gabby.
Did we mention you had any homework today? No, so just write English, no homework. Unless you did not reserve a choice book yet, then that should be in from yesterday, right?